Welcome back to the Stuff or Whatever podcast. Before I get started, I always like to say the best way to support me and the channel is to like, comment, and subscribe, which you can do here on YouTube, follow on Twitter for fun tweets and updates, and on follow on Twitch where I stream gaming. You can have fun with the chat as well. Those gaming streams are uploaded as VODs back here on YouTube. Be Quanchi on most social medias, and those links are in the description of the video, about on channel and all that. So, a very special podcast for you this week. Get started. I want to talk about I guess you can call it a meme, but I think what blew it up is there was a recent, I think it was either the Nintendo or the Nintendo UK post about the Nintendo Switch sports game, like the new version of Wii Sports coming to Switch. I'm talking about the bowling, and what's been blowing up is that there's two bowling gifs of like a bowling ball. I don't get too detailed about it, but it's very like sexual in nature. Like there's one where the bowling, it's pretty much a play on like in bowling alleys when you roll strike, you see those little animated videos or whatever, like awful 3D animation of like you got a strike or whatever. But there was one where the bowling ball goes up to the set of pins and like jizzes all over them. And the other one I think is a little bit more disturbing is that he kind of like grabs the pin and use it kind of like a flashlight or jerk tool. Fills it with his load, and then he just the pin launches forward. All that just kind of feels a little forceful too, but it's been like plaguing, at least for Twitter and all that. Because every time you see like a bowling related thing, like I think people are just kind of like baiting it too, like posting like screenshots of like SpongeBob, even like a funny King of the Hill, like when Hank's pointing at them on, they're like, "Hey, pig, you got one of those strike animations," but they put the little naughty one there. So I thought it was pretty funny. I'm not sure if it plague or continue to plague Twitter. Like any post about bowling would be uh, spammed with those gifs because I think the thing is they were hidden. I'm not sure how hiding tweets work. Like if so many people mark it as inappropriate, or the author of the original tweet can mark replies as hidden or hide them. I'm not sure how, because I tried to look at that and do it myself, but like I don't get how a tweet becomes hidden. But yeah, then people like can't resist, like, oh, this tweet's hidden, so I have to see it. Like when you get the this contains sensitive materials or nudity or graphic or whatever, like the sensitivity warnings or whatever. And people are like, oh, I gotta see this, and then they see bowling pins getting violated by a bowling ball. As weird as that sound, and I was very tempted to get like a bowling game for like buy off Steam. I guess there's some good ones out there, but I didn't want to like shell out a bunch of money for a bowling game just for a little joke. Although if I did get like donations or whatever on the Twitch stream, I'll be open to like playing whatever game. But I thought that'd be like a funny way for a stream, which is like, hey, let's tweet that we're streaming bowling, and then people can just post those GIF videos and all that. Maybe they could make a new bowling game. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if someone did a fan game. I'm not sure if it would show up on Twitch, but I could just imagine someone doing like a version of bowling where it's like a bowling ball with a penis jizzing on pins. But I don't know. There's been weirder things on the internet than that. I thought that was pretty funny, but I just don't know how long that's gonna last in terms of, like, we can never talk about bullying on Twitter again. You can't talk about bullying on the internet again because there's people out there that is gonna muck it all up. So I thought that was pretty funny. And then wanted to also talk a little bit about the Louis C.K. thing. This is kind of old news, but Luke K won a Grammy for his comedy album, and there's a lot of like backlash and stuff like that. But it feels like it's not really. Besides, backlash, I feel like he's back in the limelight. If I'm gonna call it that, because a few years ago, cancel culture, and it was not cool what he did. Like, I'm not sure the exact details, like masturbating in front of women. I'm not sure if like masturbated near them, or did he force? Let me look that up real quick. Okay, yeah. So I'm mostly just kind of reading through Wikipedia, but yeah, it seems like, yeah, he did definitely expose himself in front of women. Uh, like, I think maybe five of them I'm kind of like skimming through, but yeah, definitely exposed and masturbating in front of them. It's not cool, and I don't get that either. Like, they know, like, it's like a thing. Hey, I really have to jerk off. Don't mind me, like, in my own privacy. But explicitly expose himself in front of other women. I'm not sure if it's like one of those, we're cool with it, but really not cool. We just don't know what to do in that situation, and that really sucks too. To be in that situation, like you're very uncomfortable, but you don't feel like you have the power to say no or whatever. Stuff like that, and I don't get that either. Like I don't know. Like I'm fine with like when it comes to my business, I can do it by myself, and he even got him canceled out of the sequel to The Secret Life of Pets too. And I think that's when the show got canceled. I watched it a little bit of it, but then he got the Grammy for the comedy album and all that. I think the biggest thing that kind of rubs me the wrong way is that it feels like the women that came forward kind of got, from what I read, like on Twitter and seen other people talk about, is that their careers are kind of like, in terms of being in entertainment, like blacklisted and stuff like that. Like their career is still like gone, whatever you want to call it. But then he's kind of bouncing back. But the other thing, it's like there's a lot worse things out there. Like it's as messed up as what he did. It is when you compare to like other things like uh Harvey Weinstein and Roman Polanski and other people in like the business, like it's pretty tame, but still really not cool. And I felt like, at least he, I don't know. It just feels kind of weird. Like people can get canceled and can bounce back or whatever, but it's like it kind of like also points that hey, if you do come forward, you might be the one who's worse off, even if they get the, um, exposed and publicly like the I forget like the public courts or whatever you want to call it, the public opinion, stuff like that. Even if they get dragged down for quite a bit, they might bounce back. But the people who were really the victim just don't get a bounce back. So I think that sucks. And I don't know. I could only thing I would kind of like ask is maybe he did some if he would do something like reach out to them to kind of boost their careers and encourage people to hey, you know. But then it's like when it says like hey, if you it's kind of like weird to accept help from someone like Louis C.K. if you've been like a victim and been in those uncomfortable situations and all that. So, yeah, kind of a weird story because that was just like almost less about a week after the whole Will Smith thing, and like comparing. I think people compare apple to oranges too, but yeah, just kind of weird how things kind of play out. So when it comes to like cancel cultures and stuff like that, and still really not cool. I'm not coming back as a fan for Louis C.K., but I guess it's kind of it is what it is, and just kind of wish the situation would be better for those who were really hurt, or I don't know if you can say harm, but I guess you can say that. But yeah, it's still kind of messed up. So I want to take this podcast to talk about this is just me being stupid and talk about like if I wrote for TV, if I wrote comedy bits and stuff like that, and I guess I'd talk about like I think like I don't know if just me being like stupid in my head sometimes, but think like oh that would make a funny comedy sketch or hey that'll make a fun TV show and stuff like that. Even though I can't do anything with it because they don't have the talent, resources, etc. to make things happen. I guess the first thing I wanted to talk about, I thought this would be kind of like a funny sketch, or I don't know, it almost feels like it'd be like a sitcom episode, like to play on improv comedy. Like the setup would be like a guy goes to an improv class and all that kind of typical stuff, but it kind of like the golden rule of improv is like don't shut anybody down. It'd be called like if it was a sketch, it would be called yes and because it'd be thing like instead of saying no, you have to say yes and then continue with the scene and stuff like that. So it'd be like a guy in learning about that in a comedy, like an improv class. And then like after class is over, like the teacher would ask him, "Hey," like it would build up really slow. Like, "Hey, do you want to go for a beer?" And he goes like, "No, I don't have to." I think he meant yes, and he kind of laughed like, "Oh, okay, let's go for a beer." Because kind of like, and kind of applying that to real life, like don't just be a no person, be a yes man. So they're like, oh yes, and have beers and stuff like that, and then be like, then the teacher would kind of escalate things like saying, well, my ex girlfriend, they want to is out of town and she wants to break into your place to take all his stuff that still belongs to him and stuff like that. And the guy would be like, no, I don't want to do that. And he go, no, I think he meant yes and. So he kind of like feels like, oh, I have to do this because I can't break the golden rule of improv. And so it'd be like going to the ex girlfriend's house to break in and steal, like, it can call steal, but takes things that belong to him. But it turns out like the ex girlfriend has a new boyfriend who's watching her place while she's out of town. So as they kind of like breaking and entering, they get caught by the ex boyfriend and they freak out and like kill him or something, like hit him so hard that he dies or something like that, like bludgeon him with a bat or whatever. And then like the teacher would be like, "You gotta help me hide this body. I have to help bury the body." And then you'd be like, "No, that's crazy. No." Go. I think he meant yes and he's like, "I can't break the rule of comedy. Like yes and." So he's going with the teacher to like throw the body in the trunk and bury it and stuff like that. I get to the point that they'll be like all caught and stuff like that and go to court like for first degree murder or second degree murder, how you want to call it. And like it would be like the guy would be up on the stand and the judge and prosecutor like, did you murder this man? And he'd be like, yes, and I don't know, there'd be kind of be more to that bit, but I think it'd be funny just to play on that golden rule of improv, yes, and have it escalate to like helping someone commit a crime, to murder, to going into jail and stuff like that. So I thought that'd be kind of like a funny bit. And then another thing I thought would be a funny bit. Again, this would be more like a sitcom, but I feel it'd be fun like a group of friends like talking, and then they like gaslight one of the friends saying that, "Hey, it's very manly to get fucked, like to take a dick up your ass," and like, "Oh no, 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 it's not gay. It's like really manly because." And it'd be like comparing it to like getting a tattoo, like how getting a tattoo is like painful with a needle, like he's saying like receiving anal sex is just like that, and it'd be kind of like to like gaslighting him and go, oh, it has to be a real guy, you can't use an object or stuff like that. And so they're like, oh, you can't, you're not a real man. And they like lie and say, oh, I've done it. Yeah, we all done it. And so the guy like wants to prove that he's manly. Like it would be kind of a play on like either like gaslighting or toxic masculinity or something like that. I don't know how I don't paint it, but then the one guy that gets kind of gaslight goes to the gay bar and then actually has sex with the man, and then he like tells his friend about it and goes, dude, we were just kidding. And all that, like, oh, do you just get fucked by a guy? I go, yeah. And it would probably like end a bit like, oh, and I think I'm actually gay. And it'd be like, oh, that's cool. Like it'd be kind of like one of those funny things. Like imagining someone having that self discovery of, coming out and being gay. Like, oh, because all my friends gaslighted me about having anal sex and saying it was manly and stuff like that. So I don't know. I don't know if that sounds stupid, and I just thought that it would just a funny bit to like make that gay joke, but push it to that kind of level and all that. Again, it may sound stupid, and I don't know if it's funny or have a look like if it was actually professionally made out, but I can just imagine that could be like an episode of a sitcom where like, oh, I guess I'm gay now. Or not to like say like, oh, just like that, like, you know. But yeah, and then other stuff like I think about stupid stuff in my head, like, hey, if I made a movie or a TV show, what would it be like? I thought this would be kind of an idea for a movie, maybe like made for TV, like drama movie, but it'd be called like I Love Your Dog, and it's about this guy with his dog, and then he meets a girl at a bar, and then they head off, they start dating a lot and stuff like that, and then she loves his dog. That'd be kind of like the thing, but then something happens weird throughout the movie, like the dog acts really aggressive towards the owner, and then starts to more favor the new girl, the woman he's dating and stuff like that. And you get to the point like you feel like something's off, and then it gets to the point that they eventually like break up. With the woman, like because the dog's like becomes so like it's like evolving to the point like the dog just like doesn't want to be with the guy anymore. It's like, I'm taking your dog too. Like he's better off with me. Like so she breaks up and takes the dog away from him. And have to be like Billy because the dog, like he had the dog as a puppy, and not sure why the dog's behavior changed so much after meeting this woman. And then like maybe like the guy's friend, like, hey, you gotta get your dog back. That's not cool and stuff like that. Like the climax of the movie is that the guy would try to confront, like he gets a cop involved because like, oh, it's my dog and stuff like that, and she stole it from me. So she goes to the cop and tries to get the dog back from the ex-girlfriend, and then the ex-girlfriend kind of like, woe is me, kind of like plays the pity card or something like that, and like lies to the cops, like, the dog. He never liked the dog, even though he owned him. He even joked about like drowning the dog or throwing off a bridge or stuff like that. And then the cop believes her and like, hey, you should be ashamed of yourself. Like, this dog's better off with her. I don't care what the fuck that or whatever. Like, how long you had this dog for? You're just like a piece of shit or whatever. And then after that, you find out that the woman was actually recording. Like, she set up a camera, anticipating the guy would try to come back for his dog. And then she posts that online. Like, people would think like, oh, this guy is an animal abuser. He was going to drown the dog and stuff like that. And like, he's a bad person, a sick person, and stuff like that. And then that would like get plastered over the internet and affect his job. Like, his employer, his coworkers find that, and he gets fired from his job. So his whole life spirals down after meeting and breaking up with the woman. Like, she takes his dogs. For some reason, his dog's against him, and to the point that I don't want to laugh at this part, but I would be like to the point that he decides to take his own life. And then the movie would end like you see an article about his like if he hung himself or something like that, and you see like an article about that, and then she clips it out and she posts it on the board and finds out that, hey, she's been dating guys and taking the dogs or cats or animals as trophies and forcing, like, in a way, not like forcing them, but kind of like getting them to like kill themselves or stuff like that. Kind of like a Black Widow kind of situation and stuff like that. Like, she'll have like a scrapbook or something like that, and she'll have like a secret like farm with a bunch of like dogs and cats and animals. Like, it's a game to her to like have men fall for her, take the pets, and then like off them in one way or another. And then I would want to make a sequel to that. That would kind of like be her next victim, but then also go to like how she does it in more detail. Like, the sequel would be called like I Really Love Your Dog, but I think with the sequel it would have to backfire. Again, I don't know how these like stupid ideas, like, when you like write down ideas, I think ideas in the head, and maybe when you speak them out loud, they're not as fully formed or fully developed or anything like that. But like, that could be like an idea for a movie and like a sequel, but it would definitely need a lot of work and a lot of like help writing in and stuff like that. But I thought it'd be like a weird like drama movie where like a woman, kind of like Black Widow's a guy and takes the pets as trophies. That'd be like a good summary for the movie. So I have an idea for one or two, although it would probably never ever happen. But that's why I have this microphone and podcast, just to let out stupid ideas. The last like stupid idea I want to talk about, and this was like this weird thing. Like, you feel like you get creative sometimes and want to like talk about stuff, or like, hey, this is never gonna happen, but just in case, like, if it does happen, that'd be cool. But I had this idea for a TV show that I call Office DJ, and just to get to start, like, the premise of the episode is like an aspiring musician who like wants to be a DJ, have albums and music, and really wants to get noticed and all that. So that'd be kind of like a struggle, but like in the pilot episode, the first episode, like an office building, like an office job. I'm not sure like what kind of business the office would be, like records or whatever, in terms of like maybe mortgages, or I'm not sure what kind of different office jobs are there. But pretty much like the setup would be like this guy gets hired by the office to do like a DJ for um, like a morale or like a little party, like maybe like a holiday thing or something like that. Like saying, hey, office workers, to celebrate, we're gonna have like a pizza party. I'm gonna have a live DJ. But I think it would be funny, like the live DJ, like the biggest bit of the show is that the DJ would be really talented, the music would be really, really good. But then the DJ would be like at the office, like doing his set or something, and then like no one really cares. Like, maybe like the person that hires him, like maybe the manager or like from human resources, like really enjoying, but it'd be like really cringy and stuff like that. And this guy like, "Ugh, just kill me. Like, this is like, I don't get gigs. Like, I'm failing at trying to be a music artist as a DJ." And then he just DJs in office. And then to the point, like later, like he would have like a roommate and stuff like that too. And it'd be like, no, I can't just keep chasing the stream. Like, I have to get a job. Like, I can't focus on that. So like the end of the episode, at least the first episode, is that he ends up getting a job at the same office he DJ'd for. And that'd be kind of like the thing. Cause I would like the theme of the show for Office DJ would be like, hey, try to follow your dreams, reach your dreams, but you also have to stay grounded. Like, you still have to like work a 9 to 5, like you don't become successful overnight. You might have to, it require a lot of luck and things just falling right. To be like one of those things, like I really want these like my huge dreams of like making like albums that get noticed, maybe Grammys or this that recognition and notoriety, maybe even fame. But he's like, it's just not going to happen overnight. If it does happen, also you have to have your backup and kind of like putting James on the back burner and stuff like that, just to say, hey, in real life, you don't get to just chase your dreams. You have to pay your bills and all that. I thought it'd be also funny bits like for episode, like you go to like a club for inspiration, like there would be a big DJ battle, and then like the two DJs that are doing the like sets against each other, all they do is like plug in a USB stick into a computer and just hit the play button. But the crowd would be like totally into it, like it's like a rock battle, like a battle of bands kind of thing. But they just like press the play button on the laptop, and they go like back and forth, like as the music playing. Like one's like making a sandwich, or one's like taking a nap, or one's like playing video games, or doing taxes and stuff like that. So it'd be, but the crowd would be like totally balls to the wall, like crazy shouting, like "Oh my god, it's so crazy!" But they just pretty much hit the play button. So I think that would be also the thing about the show is that he's very talented, but then he sees these people who aren't that talented. Like maybe like some themes would be like music theft, or just like episodes like these people taking shortcuts or don't deserve that fame, but they're getting it, and then this person who was working really hard is not getting it. So I think that'd be a constant theme and frustration and stuff like that. I even play in my head like how the series would play out. Like it would be like maybe 2 or 3 seasons, maybe four. But then I don't really know how they fill the meat. Like I have them like loose ideas. Like, hey, I want these kind of ideas to be throughout the show and all that. But I didn't even think of like B plots of the show. Like for his roommate would be like a game streamer. Like I don't know if you can like say Twitch streamer on a TV show if that's like too much of branding, but he would be like streaming video games, but it'd be like he's very successful. And I don't want to throw in like, oh, he's a streamer who games just to be like hip with the kids or anything, but it'd be like a fun like counterbalance or kind of like a bunch of B plots too. They point that sometimes like his friend who's working 9 to 5 at an office job has his other friend roommate who just got really lucky and successful with streaming and stuff like that, like playing video games. But he kind of would have episodes and plots like I thought it'd be funny to have like a TV show plot for the game streamer, like he feels like one episode like he has to like chase that dragon, like I have to always be on top of what's trending, so he keeps on like buying a video game, but when he plays it for barely a night, he has to get the next big game and stuff like that. So he just kind of have this weird like drain. And a lot of streamers do that too. Like maybe they even talk about like subscriber thons and stuff like that. Like kind of like talk about the culture of streaming, even though it'd be like B plots as well. But be like, oh, I have to play this game, but now I have to play this game and move on to this game. And then you realize he can't really enjoy the games he just bought because he has to move on to the next one. It kind of feels like I love video games as a kid, but now it feels like at work and I just can't enjoy that more. But that would just be like an episode and stuff like that. I thought it'd be interesting also to touch on a subject like for the streamer roommate, like it would be one episode like he has to do taxes or he gets like a letter from IRS and didn't like had no idea like, hey, this money I'm making off streaming is income and I have no idea how to like do taxes regarding it and stuff like that. So I think that'd be like a fun episode, at least a point to bring on, because I think a lot of people who might be young who get into YouTube or streaming and stuff like that who surprisingly get a lot of success like don't know what to do when it comes to like having taxes taken out and making sure that taxes get paid into the actual income and stuff like that. And even thought of a funny episode. He has like some medical issues and has to go to the hospital and realize I don't have insurance and stuff like that. So this like topic like, hey, if you fall into that line of work where you make money online from like streaming content or whatever, like, hey, you need to have these certain things in place, because it's easy when you have like an employee, like when you work for a big company, like, oh, I just enroll into health insurance, oh, I don't have money to take out into a 401k, oh, my worker just sends me my W-2, I just do that my taxes each year. Just kind of like have that also the other side of the story where, hey, if I'm doing this all by myself, then how do I do it, kind of thing. So I think that would be kind of like fun things to talk about, because I'm not sure, like, again, I don't want to feel like cringy, like saying, oh, gaming online. Twitch is all the rage with the kids these days, playing Fortnite and tournaments and stuff like that. But he couldn't realize, hey, if it's an actual job, it's feel weird to say gaming is a job in that kind of context. But you're like, hey, what happens when you have to pay taxes? What happens when you need to make sure you have insurance? Like if something medically happened to you and stuff like, or if you had to retire, if your uh, work is like if Twitch exploded and you, all of a sudden you can't just do that anymore and get a regular job. So I think that would be kind of become a balance with like the main character as the DJ kind of aspiring to make music, but didn't realize, hey, I have to work a 9 to 5. I have to work a quote unquote normal job because I just can't have no income and stuff like that. I have to support myself. I have to make sure I have food, shelter, whatever. So I think like the main theme of the show Office DJ would be like chase your dreams, but you have to be grounded in reality and realize, hey, you can't shrug off responsibilities. You have to make sure like A, B, and C is done before you can get to X, Y, and Z kind of thing. So again, I don't think it would ever happen, but just to get those little ideas out there, and I don't know, I just think that'll be a fun idea for a show, but don't think it would ever happen. I always think of that like episode of Rick and Morty, or like everyone can get a Netflix show. I think South Park did that too. Like, I doubt I can like, hey, I got a stupid idea for a show, and like a one-page summary. Like, it would have this, but not that, and have game stream and have a DJ, and he works in office and taxes and uh, games and health insurance. But yeah, that's just me being stupid and somewhat creative and all that. So I guess I end the stream with a whatever report. This might be a little bit longer episode, but I kind of felt, I don't know, I might cut down a little bit of it too. But to go through a quick whatever report where I talk about weird news, and some of this might have been discussed before in other outlets. Okay, this first one is a Southwest passenger arrested, even banned for masturbating on a flight 4 times. And that's just like crazy. I guess the thing is that he didn't like go to the bathroom and privately masturbate. He did like next to a woman passenger, and said it was kind of kinky. Like he thought it was kinky. And I guess he like even asked the woman next to her, and it's like one of the things like they said like it was okay, but we really weren't okay and stuff like that. Because I guess there was like photo evidence as well. Like the woman was aware that he wanted to do that beforehand. Um, when the guy fell asleep, she like told what happened, moved to another seat and stuff like that. And that's just so basically he's facing like lewd, indecent charges and stuff like that. The article I kind of found was a small summary of what happened, but you can see like official complaint. So not to dig too into it, but I don't know what goes into your mind, like wanting to be pretty much like going back to Louis C.K. Like maybe he thought like, hey, Louis, it was on April 2nd. So was that? Let's see, when was April 2nd? Okay, that was before the Grammy, so he wouldn't know that Louis C.K. got a Grammy when that happened. But maybe he was following his idol and all that. But yeah, that's like it's what I think. If you do something that you're not supposed to do, like can I get in legal trouble? Will I go to jail for this? Will I get a sex crime? Would it be listed as sex offender? And don't do it. Don't do it. But yeah, she took photos and handed to police and all that. And I wasn't quite sure because I heard like she was kind of aware of it, but didn't like really stop him because I guess it's like one of the things like you just don't know what to say in that situation. But yeah, he got arrested. And it's next one. This is more like a funny headline and all that, but I guess the Oregon romance novelist wrote I think it was like a short story or an essay, like How to Murder Your Husband. End up going to trial for a fatal shooting of her husband. I guess the reason for murdering her husband was like for life insurance, like $1.4 million in the life insurance policy. She's 68 years old, so wow. Like, I'm not sure if like retirement sucked that much that she had to like murder her spouse or whatever. But yeah, got. I think this is a funny thing is that she wrote that kind of like a fictional essay story and then actually did it herself. So I guess you didn't know how to murder your husband, or at least you can't. It doesn't say anything about not getting caught, I guess, in the essay. So maybe she should have wrote how to murder your husband and not get caught. Maybe she would have got away with it. But yeah, kind of a little funny headline. In this story, it's a woman who put in fake doctor's notes because she was going to go to prison. I guess the main offense was she embezzled money from her employer, over $160,000 from a former employer, and was going to face like a year in jail, a 12-month sentence. Uh, Stuff like that. It's a 12-month sentence in 1 day in federal prison, so I'm not sure what that means exactly. But she kind of got like a doctor's note saying that she was diagnosed with cancer and couldn't go to prison, so they kind of like I guess delayed the sentencing and stuff like that. And she had another note as well following that. Like to physician, like she couldn't be exposed. So I think also with like COVID and stuff like that was like a big deal too. Found out those notes were fake and she lied. And now what was it? 10 additional years in federal prison. So, yeah, that really sucks for her, but I guess, fuck her for saying that she had cancer when she didn't. And, like, the thing is, like, the two doctors know, like, one, she was an actual patient, but never treated her. And then, like, the other one, um, yeah, she was a patient, one of the doctors, and the other one never treated her. And shocked, like his signature was forged repeated by this person. What was her name? I think Lisa Chavez. You see, Ashley Lynn Chavez. Yeah, so one person had no idea like why his dad had a doctor's note from him if you treat it, but I wonder like how that doesn't caught sooner. Like if you get a note like that, like should they investigate? Like, shouldn't they be easily able to see if that's real? Not following up with the like they should make it a check and balance or whatever. Like, hey, we got to contact the hospital to confirm. Like, actually speak with a doctor saying, hey, this individual is a patient. I know that like one of the things when it comes to like healthcare, like the is it HIPAA or whatever, by saying, hey, we got this note from this a patient that's gone to you, and we want to make sure it's authentic or whatever, or even like you're required to see a state doctor to confirm the diagnosis, even if it's you have a second opinion, like it doesn't involve being sentenced and all that. But yeah, that's sucks for her. But I guess she deserved like, hey, was it worth faking that just to get another 10 years in prison? And this is kind of just my dark humor just peeping through. But imagine if like she does get diagnosed with cancer, like actually become gets cancer after this, just because she said she had it but didn't. But yeah, kind of a weird story. Like how this doesn't get caught sooner in terms of like making sure like, hey, we confirm this is true, especially when it comes to like medical documents and stuff like that. That's the last story. Just a quick one. It's about food, but I guess Applebee's is work on having drive-through windows. I'm not sure like how's been going on with Applebee's. Probably not always the best food and all that. But I guess they're looking into have drive-through windows, but it won't be like fast food where you drive up and order your food from the menu and then drive around. Especially because it feels like for what Applebee's for what it is, it still feels like it takes a while to get your food. Because you want to say, oh, they cook it, but that just means they just put it in the microwave or whatever. Like, I don't know like how long it would take them to cook a food, but it always feels like you wait a while. So that's why it's like casual dining and stuff like that. It looks like if you do the drive-through, like you would have to order on the website or app ahead of time, pick it there, which kind of makes sense to have like a designated spot for to-go orders and stuff like that. But yeah, at first like is Applebee's really doing drive-through like fast food? But it looks like it's just for like pickup orders and online orders and all that. Yep, so that will do it for the podcast this week. So again, the best way to support me in the channel is to like, comment, and subscribe. On YouTube, follow on Twitter, follow on Twitch. I do have my gaming as well, so you can get your streams or the VODs on YouTube, whatever. Or I have an idea of what I want to play, like when we want indie games or all that. It kind of feels weird not having much of an audience at all, because I'd be open like, hey, having fun like chatting or getting recommendations and not saying like, hey, follow what the audience wants you to do, like dance monkey dance or whatever, but hey, if it gets me attention, I don't know. But it's kind of like that weird also kind of sense like, hey, it doesn't feel like a big commitment. Like I'm not a slave to streaming. I don't have to feel like, oh, I have to have this much viewers. I don't have to depend on it for income or a job or all that. So if it becomes something more, that'd be really cool. Like if this podcast becomes something more, that'd be cool. But and then had ideas for stupid videos as well. So there's stuff on the channel. But just most time is like I said in the other podcast, it's just me speaking into the void and not hearing the answer back. But oh well, it's fun practice anyways. But yeah, I hope everyone, if you're listening to this at this point, thanks for listening, and I hope you have a good day. Later.